Welcome to another episode of Touring the AFC South. I'm your host, Mike Patton. And on this episode, we're going to talk about the Super Bowl matchup we have. Of course, we got to talk about the championship games that happened. And I thought that I would bring someone on that would be very familiar with the Titans connections to all these different games and teams. That would be from the Fumble, Miss Samaria Terry. How are you?
I'm doing good, Mike. Thank you so much for having me on. I know we've been trying to get this, but we're here. We made it.
We did. We did indeed. We did indeed. And of course, we made it just in time to see Mike Vrabel go to the Super Bowl as coach of the New England Patriots. They win in New England. In Denver, I'm sorry, 10-7, which very uneventful game to me. But hey, a win is a win. Of course, the biggest thing anyone's talking about is, man, Mike Vrabel in his first year, he's taking the Patriots back to the Super Bowl. But, I just want to get your thoughts on, the job he's done in leading this team to the Super Bowl in his first year.
Yeah, I don't think that anybody ever doubted that Mike Vrabel was a good head coach, right? When he was in Tennessee, he was always, a player's coach. He always it felt like he just had like this connection with the players that a lot of times he didn't give that to us, the media. We didn't get to see it. But he does fall under the Bill Belichick tree, and that's how they operate. So I'm not surprised that they're having the success
Mhm.
that they're having. What I will say though is that people often forget that there has to be a lot of luck that goes on, right? And for you to go in your first season in New England and go all the way to the Super Bowl, there was a lot of luck. Not taking away from anything that the Patriots have done. However, you're not competing against the guys that have been, the top
Mhm.
teams
Mhm.
in recent years. Nobody was there in the AFC. And then it just so happened that Bo Nix breaks his leg. And so you're playing up against a backup who has been a backup for years. Shout out to Auburn, though. Okay. We in there. We had the two quarterbacks over there in Denver. But yeah, I mean, you're playing against, a backup in Jarrett Stidham. And so it was just a lot of luck that had to happen for them. Shout out to them though. But I do think that it is very interesting that the Titans fans are upset about it. Um, because unfortunately, the tail end of his time in Nashville was not good. So it was like it felt like his time there had run its course. Or maybe the football gods had other plans for him and he was supposed to be in New England. That's kind of how it felt. I mean, they could not buy a win. It was really bad. You know what I feel like? I feel like as soon as I got to Nashville, like they just stopped winning. I don't know what happened. Like Corey used to tell me that all the time. He's like, you're such bad luck. Cause as soon as I got there, it just went kaput. And so they had to know, like fans had to know that, Miss Amy was going to make a change. Unfortunately, yes, he goes to New England and he
Mhm.
has instant success. But like I said, there's a lot of things that goes into that. They didn't have a lot of injuries. You know what I mean? Like it's just a lot. So just look at that, fans. I don't know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just to give a little insight, his last 34 games there, he was 13-21 with the Tennessee Titans, including a losing streak along the way. And I don't know what goes on in anybody else's job, but if I'm going into my boss and I ask for more power and I want more control, I don't know if I can do that with a 382 win percentage in the last 34 games. So you tell me how that works for you if you try that at your job and see what happens. That's all I can say. I mean, honestly, it's time to move on. It's time to move forward. He's probably where he wants to be in New England, and it is
Yeah.
what it is. Life
Yeah.
happens. Things happen. People are not successful everywhere they go. It just happens. It is what it is. It's time to move forward, Titans fans and NFL fans. That's all. I had to get that off my chest too, because I was like, that was bothering me because I keep hearing it and people keep asking me. And I'm like, look, not look at just the facts of this and just think about it, like I laid it out.
Mhm.
Basically, if you had a job and you were doing poorly on your job and your performance, go into your boss and ask them for a raise and ask them for more responsibility and see what happens. That's all
You're
I
not
got.
getting it. You're not getting it. And I think that fans too sometimes, their focus is on whatever's happening right now. Obviously Vrabel is going to the Super Bowl, so that's where their focus is. But don't lose sight of like the bad hirings from Miss Amy. Like I'm not trying to jump on her, but
Mhm,
the Titans fans wouldn't be upset if Brian Callahan worked out. If if you all were having success in Tennessee, then they wouldn't even care about Vrabel. Unfortunately, it just seems like it's just bad hire after bad hire after bad
mhm,
hire. And now she's like trying to overcorrect. So you were defense, now you went offense, now you're back to defense. And I think I heard Big Jeff say that that was something that he wanted in a head coach, was a defensive minded head coach. But I don't know if that's Robert Saleh, and I don't know if that's where you wanted to
mhm,
to segue. I'm just kind of taking over, but I don't know if, and I don't know him. I don't know him. I've never covered him. I watched the Hard Knocks
mhm,
season with the Jets. Um, he just doesn't seem to be the command that I feel like the Titans need. Like, like I feel like when they had the success with Vrabel, he walks into a room and he owns the room. He commands the room. You didn't get that with Brian Callahan. When
mhm.
Callahan was there, the biggest thing was, oh, the vibes are so great. I remember that was the first thing that Chico Conco said. Oh, the vibes are immaculate. And we were like, oh, what does that mean? Like,
Mhm.
y'all just out here doing whatever you want to do? I guess. I'm not sure. And clearly that didn't work out for them because it seemed that the shift, it was like a complete 180 of what they had with Vrabel. And they just kind of let loose. And so I'm like, I think that they need some more structure. I don't know if Robert Saleh is that, but hopefully he is, because I'm just like, I don't think that Miss Amy really can mess up again on a head coaching hire. Well, you'll be at the press conference on Wednesday, so you'll have to let me know what, like, his personality or what his plans are for the team. And because I mean, going to Tennessee, that's a tall task.
Mhm,
It's a tall task.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. He wanted this job actually. This was his number one actual job that he wanted. He actually wanted the Tennessee
Was it
job.
really?
He did.
Oh,
Yes, it was
okay.
his number one job he wanted. And honestly, I would say that he actually does command the room. And he
Okay.
actually with the 49ers, he kind of went back to the 49ers. When he went back to the 49ers, he actually the biggest thing what I've heard about is trying to connect with not only the defensive guys but the offensive guys. The defensive guys love him, and all the players with the Jets loved him. They hated it. They all talked about how they felt the responsibility
Yeah.
of him losing his job, and they have things they could have done better. And I don't think you talk about a guy like that unless you actually love the coach. So, and when he went back to the 49ers, he actually did more connecting with the offensive guys as well as the defensive guys. And him and actually just a little bit of knowledge there. Him and George Kittle would meet every week. They literally would sit there and
Mm.
talk in his office literally every week since he got back. So, he definitely is a guy that can command the room, can make a speech, and things like that. So it's going to be just interesting to see how it translates to these two players, the two main players that he has, which is Cam Ward and also Jeffrey Simmons. So honestly, I think he is the command guy. But I wonder if I just need the for the Titans, they needed to kind of match with their top players and be able to top players be able to kind of facilitate that throughout the rest of the team. So that's what
Yeah.
I
Well, that's good to
kind of
know. Thanks for that,
gather
because
with
I
them.
didn't
But
even.
a lot more Titans to start the show than we thought.
Yeah, thank you for letting me know that, because I had no idea. Like I said, I don't really know his personality like that, but that I think that that would bode well for the Titans. I think that they really need that. It's just been
Mhm.
a lot of like, I don't know. It just seems like they were just so lost. that they've been lost, for a while. And I hate that for the guys, because I just feel like it's such a great locker room. Um, and so for them to kind of not have the success that they would want sucks. And then to see people leave and then have success. You know what I mean? Like I think that that's like kind of
Yeah.
sucks too. Yeah. Like Ernest. I know we want to talk about Ernest.
Yeah, that's been
Shout out
a
to
little
him.
bit of a bad part. Oh yeah, we definitely gonna talk about Ernest because Ernest, yeah, we definitely gonna talk about Ernest, but I definitely want to talk about, of course, got to talk about the Denver Broncos to me because you got to talk about two guys with them, Jarrett Stidham and Sean Payton. Now, Jarrett
Okay.
Stidham, he had a very costly mistake. Threw the ball backwards. Of course, New England recovers it. Next play, score a touchdown, 7-7 tie. Then also he throws that interception late in the game, seals the game pretty much for the Patriots to win. Now, a lot of people are blaming Jarrett Stidham, and I totally understand in terms of some plays. However, Mr. Sean Payton, you got to come to the front of the room too, because you're up 7-0. It's a fourth down. Why are you not kicking a field goal? Take
I don't
the
know.
points. I mean, if there's been a theme this offseason, this playoffs, it's been coaches not taking the points when they're offered to them and wanting to be too aggressive and trusting analytics a little too much. I mean, folks, think about it. Think about it. Don't overthink it, I should say, because you're giving up points because analytics tells you it's good to go for it. I think you need to take the points. Use your head,
Yeah.
not a
Yeah.
mathematical equation. Use your head. So that's where I kind of was just like, what is going on? But yeah, I think the blame definitely deserve a good bit of blame.
Yeah, I agree. And like I mentioned earlier, unfortunately, Stidham, is not their guy. I mean, he's been a backup. I don't really know
Yes.
how
Yeah,
much
they just
playing time he's actually had because the mistake that you talked about, the turnover, the backwards pass, and then, they went down and scored, that was such a rookie mistake. Because you saw him like question himself. He should have threw the ball down at the ground when he first realized he was in trouble. He didn't do it. He held on to it and then tried to kind of pitch it. It's like at that point, take the sack. You know what I mean? And then let, your team punt it away. That was such a rookie mistake. And that's, to my point is that the Patriots have had a lot of success because we know that Bo Nix probably wouldn't have made that play. And I think that the game would have looked a lot different if you had Nix in the game and not Stidham. And nothing against him, but he just has not played. And then you come in, and this is like the biggest game. Like you're in the AFC Championship game. And so, I hate it for him. But yeah, he had two costly mistakes. And then, like you mentioned, Sean Payton didn't make it any better by kind of pushing them to really do something that they don't, that he's not done that. He hasn't really played. So in that, I'm sure he's probably beating himself up that he should have taken the points. And you're right. That is something that we have seen a lot. I'm in Detroit, right? So like I feel like Dan Campbell is like the king of that, right? They call him Dan Gamble because he's like, I don't go for it. Like, he's like, I'm not gonna kick it. I'm gonna go for it every time. And then we saw Ben Johnson do that, with the Bears. So maybe people next year will start just taking the points. I don't know.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. But analytics, hey, for all of the gambling and things like that, it's not always great to go for it. It's not always great.
And it stresses us
But
out for the fans.
very much, very much.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't stress. I would say this: it doesn't stress out Drake May because he was very happy that they went for it. Of course, he goes to the Super Bowl in the second season. People had him up as the MVP candidate, but I will say, in the playoffs, he did not perform like an MVP candidate. 4 touchdown passes, 2 interceptions total, and 6 total fumbles, which 3 of them he lost. To me, I mean, that kind of, if I'm a Patriots fan, I'm happy I'm going to the Super Bowl, but I'm a little nervous when it comes to the play of Drake May. I mean, he has not necessarily been the guy he's been in the regular season and the postseason.
Yeah. I know like on our show, my co-host had me kind of blind rank some of the MVP, front runners. And I just did not have Drake May high on my list. I think that Rodney wanted him to be at 2. I was like, but no, he really hasn't shown me. And he's young still. But you just mentioned like the turnovers. And he has, a very aware offensive line that they can kind of, you know, like I don't know, it's like a sixth sense that they have. It's like, oh, the ball is out. Let me go jump over there. But games would have gone a lot differently if they did not have that situational awareness. So yeah, I just don't see it for them. I feel like, especially in this matchup against Seattle, like Seattle they do a lot on offense. I don't know if the Patriots have an answer for that.
Mhm.
It's going to be very interesting. That matchup is going to be very interesting. I know a lot of people wanted the Rams to win, to come out of the NFC. I could care less either way, to be
I had the
honest.
Rams as my Super Bowl
Um,
pick.
really? I guess it's for me, it's like shout out to Sam
Yeah.
Darnold. Like what a road he's been on. You know what I mean? I love stories like that. So I'm kind of secretly rooting for him
Mhm,
because I mean they counted him out several times.
mhm.
Several.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right. Of course, another guy that's had a nice redemption story. That'd be Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs, of course, decided he wanted to leave Buffalo, lands in Houston, tears his ACL. Then this offseason, he has to pick between New England and Denver, actually. So he actually was picking between those two teams who he wanted to play for, picks New England. Now he's going to the Super Bowl. You see Cardi B down there yelling his name and taking video of him and so supportive of him on the field, and her nice little fur coat out there on the field. And just I'm actually shocked in the fact that they had him as a leader of the team. I'm like, that kind of threw me off when I heard that. I was like, Stephon Diggs, a leader of a team? But it actually worked out well for him to be a leader of this New England team going back to the Super Bowl. Can we say just about this arc in terms of Stephon Diggs and going from wanting to leave Buffalo to rehabbing to now being a leader of a New England Patriots team going to the
Yeah, him
Super
being a leader doesn't shock me because I don't even really know. I'm trying to think what or who on specifically on the offensive side of the ball that's as tenured as he is. So I could see why, he would come in and be a leader. He still has some stuff
Bowl.
legally that he's dealing with. So we'll see what is made of that. But yes, the Cardi B stuff, that was literally my little short that I did today. It'll come out later today. But I was like, are they like NFL's new power couple? Like, are they taking the place of Kelsey and Taylor Swift because they were on People Magazine? You know what I mean? Like they're everywhere. I saw Cardi B do an interview with NFL Network. I was like, who else is doing that? And I
Mhm.
just thought it was really interesting. And he's always so emotional, which I love that vulnerability from guys. So yeah, it's gonna be. I mean, if they win, yes, that's a great arc for him. Really just betting on himself. You know what I mean? And then it's really interesting because he, made some claims about Buffalo's front office, and we saw that kind of blow up last week. So I was like, oh, maybe he like who's right and who's wrong in that situation. I know this is AFC South, but we're talking about Buffalo. But yeah, I'm really curious, Mike, to know what you thought of that. I don't think I've ever seen that happen
I hear you
where
there.
owner jumps
I hear
in
you
to
there. But
to
hey, hey,
with the GM. I thought that was very interesting. What did you think of that? Did you see that?
uh,
Oops.
which situation was it again? I'm sorry, didn't catch that.
Oh, with the Bills owner Terry Pagoo. Pagula. I think I'm saying his name right, but they were actually asking the general manager, Brandon Bean, about Keon Coleman. And Terry jumped in and was like, Bean only made the pick because he was trying to be a team player, and that the coaches, Sean McDermott, actually wanted Keon Coleman and not the general manager. But then, of course, everybody's come out and showed clips, that Brandon Bean actually did want Keon Coleman. So
If
it's a mess.
yeah, it's a mess. It's a mess, all right. If I'm Keon Coleman, I don't know how I feel going back into that building. It's almost like I don't know how I feel going back to that building if I'm Keon Coleman. I mean, honestly, you're with a organization that really does not want you. All over where you go, you can demand a trade, but you really don't have a market. Wow, it just I would be I
Right.
probably, if I were him, I'd kind of suck it up and play, but secretly behind the scenes, I'd be a malcontent.
Yeah. Right. And McDermott is now gone. So it's like, but then the question is, where would you go? Because unfortunately, he has not performed. Like he has not shown up. He's been suspended a few games for being late to meetings and all the things. So it's like, where could you go? I hate it for the kid, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just bad all around.
Good question.
Yeah.
Good. I'm trying to think over here now where he could go, but that'd be a good question for his agent. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Let's see. As far as just the last thing, of course, you mentioned Bo Nix. You mentioned Bo Nix, and of course, him being hurt, and the luck, or I would say the good fortune of the New England Patriots. That's just the last thing that happened. I mean, you got the Texans that basically CJ Stroud was playing hot potato with the football during the game. You got the Chargers with no line, essentially both their offensive tackles out injured. I mean, and then of course no Bo Nix. So when it comes to a playoff run as the New England Patriots,
A lot of luck. A lot of luck. The Texans situation is really interesting because obviously CJ Stroud did get you to that point, right? He helped you get there, but he's also not, it's like your defense has really gotten you there. And, I do hate that for Stroud because I think, when he first got into the league, he played so well and he's regressed in a way that like I wasn't expecting to see him do. So I'm like, I'm wondering what's happening. Like it just, I don't know. It's like, do y'all do like is Houston going to keep him? Are they going to move on from him? Because unfortunately, he cost them the game. Especially when you had New England over there. We were just literally talking about Drake May's turnovers. You know what I mean? Like they're trying to do everything to lose too. And you did more.
right?
So what so where like if
It
you're
just
Houston, like where
I
do
don't
you go?
understand it.
I
Oh
will
boy.
say this
Well,
though. The AFC
they should have
South,
stuck to me with Bobby Slowick though.
well, yeah. He looked good under him for sure. Um, I will say though that the AFC South shocked me. They shocked me. I will not lie. I was not like expecting the success that they had as a conference. Like they're not bottom of the barrel anymore. Tennessee can use some work, but everybody else,
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I mean?
It,
Like,
it
what would the Colts be like right now if Daniel Jones didn't go down? Jacksonville looks like, I mean, obviously we were just talking about Houston. I'm like,
mhm.
the AFC South got something to say. And I was very shocked. Very shocked.
Mhm. I'll tell you this, and I know people will look at me a little crazy. I'll tell you this, people will look at me probably a little crazy when I say this. I do think that the Tennessee Titans will actually be much better than what people think next year in the 2026 season. I think that they could actually be competing for the division.
They don't have a choice, Mike. They don't have a choice because of what I just said. Everybody else in your division is playing great. Liam Cohen goes to Jacksonville and completely turns things around. You know what I mean? Like, they do not
You're
have
right.
a choice.
They
You
don't.
have to you have to be good.
Um,
Indianapolis gets a quarterback and now they're like, you know what I mean? Like, they were one of the hottest teams this past season at one point. Like, yeah, Tennessee has no choice but to get it together and they have to do it fast. They got to do it fast. Hmm.
yeah, that's true. That's true. Oh boy. Let's see. One thing I do want to talk about, of course, we didn't quite get into the NFC, but of course, Sam Darnold, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, including 346 yards passing versus the Rams. So he did his thing there. Of course, he was an option at one point for the Tennessee Titans when it comes to bringing in his quarterback. They obviously didn't do so. Mike McDonald takes the Seattle Seahawks to the Super Bowl in the second season. He actually was a candidate to be the head coach around the time that Brian Callahan was hired. And Ernest Jones the fourth, he was a Ram in the beginning of the 2024 season, or 20 with it 2024, and he got traded to Seattle during the season. So he actually was a guy that used to be here as well with the Tennessee Titans, and I actually thought he was going to be a guy that the Titans were going to build with inside that in the interior of that team, and then he got traded away, and I was like, man, this dude is a leader. Why are they trading him? But it ended up happening. So all three guys do have somewhat a connection with the Tennessee Titans, and of course, all three guys are not here with the Tennessee Titans.
Ooh, yeah, I don't know. I don't even know. Okay, so I'm trying to think like linebacker wise. So is Cedric Gray the guy now for Tennessee? I'm
Yes.
asking. I don't know. Okay, because I'm like, I remember you obviously we had Kenneth Murray and then you had Ernest Jones and Ernest,
Mhm.
was traded away. Now I think Kenneth is what in Dallas now. And I knew that they needed to bring in some
Yep,
veteran
he got traded
guys.
away, and Cody Martin got brought in.
I knew they needed to bring in some veteran guys while Cedric, he was battling injury and just kind of him getting his footing. Um, so that's interesting to know that he is the guy now. But I think that it would have been great for them to still have that veteran presence at that position. I don't know. I
Mhm.
mean, if I'm those guys, I'm like, yeah, whatever. Shout out to me. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, do you see it for Mike Borgonzi? Like, do you think
Yeah,
that he's a
I
good
mean,
GM?
honestly, um, taking a look at it, I mean, he struck gold on all three fourth round picks in Alec Manor, Chim DK, and God, I'm forgetting tight end, Gunnar Hill. He struck gold on all three fourth round picks. I think he's actually a guy that does recognize and develop talent. People may say what they want to say about him, but he did have a hand in Kansas City and picking that talent to go around Patrick Mahomes and those different guys there. So
Yeah.
uh, I think this draft will go a long way towards telling whether he is the guy in terms of being able to recognize talent. But no, recognize the talent is only one part of it. You got to develop talent as well. So that'll be something to watch. And I think it'll just be interesting to see the kind of pieces that Robert Salah puts there that kind of develop these different pieces that Mike Regazzi brings in.
Well, we'll be watching. We'll be watching for sure.
Definitely, the Rams will definitely be watching. They'll be watching from home because Cooper Kupp, helped send them home on that third down catch that he made and basically stuck the ball out for the first down.
Yep.
So if you're the Rams, how hurt are you that you lose to the Seahawks? Cooper Kupp helped salt away the game, and it's a division rival that it happens to.
I'm sure you're salty, but I just feel like they have so much, to build on, barring any injuries next season. But the Rams are good. You got a stud in Puka Nacua. I did not expect him to be as fantastic as he is. Even like last night when I was watching the game, I'm like, where is Puka? I was like, they're using Devontae a lot. I figured that Puka was probably double teamed. But when the ball, is thrown in his direction, he's usually going to catch it. Yeah. And Seattle was making it, in their secondary, they were making a lot of costly mistakes too.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember those guys only because, they had the joint practice. Was that 2024?
We're going to talk about one.
In Tennessee. What, Woolen? Is that how you say his name? Yeah,
Oh, yes.
that could have been really bad. That could have been really bad for Seattle. Because not only do you go over and talk trash, you get a taunting penalty, they run it right back to you. So now you probably all flustered. And granted, he had been locking Puka down the whole game. Because I was like, where's Puka? I don't know where he is. He was covering him great. But then you got flustered. And you got a little too big for your britches. And they went right back to you. And I know he was embarrassed.
Yeah.
But they cannot do that. They aren't going to be able to do that.
He got embarrassed on the sideline too, because his teammates were barking at him.
And they should have been, and he shouldn't have even opened his mouth. You just sometimes you have to just sit there and take it. Just don't say anything. Everybody can run up to you and
right.
say anything to you. You just sit there because you're an idiot. You cannot make those mistakes. And I think that's probably what they're telling him. Like, dude, you got to nip that today. Really, yesterday. You shouldn't have even did it today. But you did. So nip it today. Because if we go to the Super Bowl, you cannot do that. You cannot give the Patriots any little thing. Because they're going to capitalize off of it.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I couldn't be a coach because I would be like, you know better than that. You know better than that. Man.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, Tariq Woolen is actually a free agent this offseason. So, people have seen the best and the worst of him in one game.
Okay. Well, I don't know where he's going to go. That'll be interesting. But
hey.
Yeah, I remember them at joint practice. Him, Witherspoon, all the guys. That was a really good joint practice too. I wouldn't lie.
There's
I'm not
one
gonna
team.
lie. That was a good joint practice. Like those one-on-ones with Tennessee's receivers and their DBs. That made for some good highlight tape there. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll say one place that he could probably end up, and you just mentioned it. But hey.
What? Tennessee.
So, all right. Well, of course, uh, yeah, he could potentially end up here. They got about 100 million in cap, so he could end up here, and they do need cornerbacks very badly.
Yes. Ugh. Yeah, they do.
Yeah, yeah. The Snead pick didn't quite work out, and no one knows how that's going to go this offseason.
I forgot he was
So,
on the team still.
can Tyreek Woolen here?
I completely forgot about Legarius.
Oh.
I did. Him and Calvin Ridley. I was
Mhm.
like, I just forgot about him. Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, I mean, Calvin did get injured and kind of go, you didn't see him as much anymore. So yeah, I can definitely get that one. It seemed like every time Snead got brought up, unfortunately, it got brought up either he wasn't playing or legal issues. So I was like, yeah, unfortunately.
Oh, man. Mm, mm, mm.
But I do have another question for you, though.
Okay.
I have another question for you regarding the offensive coordinator, because of course, Robert Saleh is the new head coach of the Tennessee Titans. They're going to be switching to a 4-3. And of course, that's going to be scary hours, I think, for Jeffrey Simmons and T'Vondre Sweat at defensive tackles. That could be nasty work. But offensive side of the ball, they still haven't named an offensive coordinator. You got Brian Daboll that's up for the Buffalo Bills and Raiders jobs, and then you have a Cliff Kingsbury that is free and available as well. So with what those two guys have done, I mean, do you have any thoughts on which one you would rather have if you're Tennessee, Daboll or Cliff Kingsbury?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know why I'm kind of leaning more towards Dayball, even though, Kingsbury was in Washington and looked, I thought, good
Mm-hmm.
in Washington with Jayden Daniels. I don't know. I don't know, but I will say though that whoever Tennessee gets, it needs to be somebody that has a lot of experience, somebody that is well respected, in their respective positions,
Mm-hmm.
because they're going to need it. They're definitely going to need it. And Salah's going to be leaning on them heavily because he's not an offensive guy. So I don't know. Who are you kind of leaning towards, Mike?
Honestly, if I got to pick between those two, I'm kind of got interesting thoughts on both of them. Now, Brian Daboll is a guy that helped make Josh Allen into Josh Allen, during his early days with the accuracy issues and things like that. But he also is the same guy that went in the blue tent to get Jackson Dart out the blue tent in New York. So, you got the good and the bad. So then you have Cliff Kingsbury, which, the good is offensive coordinator, Washington Commanders, takes them all the way to the NFC Championship game and has, Jayden Daniels playing out his life during his rookie year, second year, not so much because of injuries, things like that. But he's also the guy who was the offensive coordinator and head coach of the Arizona Cardinals when Kyler Murray was there. They did well until people discovered what they did, and then he couldn't figure out how to make those adjustments. So if I'm going with one or the other, I'm going to go with Brian Daboll over Cliff Kingsbury if I got to make that choice. But either one is not a terrible choice. It's just I'm wondering about the adjustments when it comes to Cliff Kingsbury when teams adjust to him.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm. That's a tough one. That's a tough one, but it's so important. It is so important.
Yeah, it is. I have another tough one. Another tough one's going to be when Robert Saleh and Liam Cohen face each other, too. If everyone forgets, the Jags and the 49ers saw each other, and Liam Cohen said, keep my name out your mouth. And Robert Saleh said, "I will effing kill you." So people forget that
What
that
was their
happened. So these
beef
two the
even
guys are going to see each other
about?
2 times a year. I am so ready for it. I
What
can
was
tell
their
you.
beef
I
even
can tell you what
about?
it's about.
Okay.
Basically, what happened was Robert Salah was talking about how he was sign stealing. He talked about basically sign stealing. Robert Salah was talking about sign stealing and things like that Liam Cohen did. And Liam Cohen heard about it. And of course, after the game, he had one of them hold me back moments where he like saying, "Keep my name out your mouth," but you really ain't like really, getting in Robert Salah's face. Robert Salah heard it, and then Robert Salah said, "I will effing kill you." Basically back to him. Now Salah did apologize about what he said, but do I think he would have ended Liam Cohen if Liam Cohen would have came his way? Absolutely, he would have. But those two facing each other this year, I'm sign me up for it. I'm very interested to see what that first meeting at the middle of the field is going to look like.
It is so funny because I feel like that is like the weirdest beef. Like that is like the weirdest beef, but people like it though. People love the beefs. I know like the beef with like Ben Johnson and LaFleur
Oh, it
is
is.
like everybody it's just it makes for like a good moment. But that beef between those two, that is the oddest thing, especially with Cohen, because he just doesn't even strike me as like tough, really. You know what I mean? Like, even back to like when he did his introductory press conference and he was like, Duval, like he's just a funny dude. He's just a funny dude. And it's so interesting as we can talk about this now. But that whole situation with Lynn Jones and the reporter, who was uplifting him, that was crazy. I did not think that that was going to blow up like that. I really didn't.
No, I didn't think it was going to blow up like that either. I'm like, hey, she did what she wanted to do with her time, talking to the coach. The end. That's all I
I
thought
know.
about it. I'm like, hey,
I know.
I got nothing
Yeah.
else to say about it. I'm not going to do a journalism 101 class about what she said or didn't say. No.
I just did not expect that. I was like, when I heard her say it, I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then like the next day, I'm like, oh, wait, this is a whole debate on Twitter right now. Okay. So then I did like a little short because I'm like, I can see
Mhm.
both sides of it, but it's like, who cares? You know what I mean? Like, who cares? I don't know. I don't know if I've ever seen that.
Right.
Um, but well, I'm trying to think maybe with a coach, but I think I have seen like play because I remember there was a moment with like Kayla and AJ Brown that was really touching. I think he was like being vulnerable about maybe some dark times, and she kind of got emotional and was like,
Mhm.
telling him like, thank you for saying this because, like it needed to be said and like all the things. So I'm like, it happens, but I just don't know why specifically when she uplifted him. I don't know. It just went crazy. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I think people are making too much of the moment. And people too making much of the moment. And I'm like, look here. She had her time with her question, and that's what she wanted to do with her time. That's all I got. Would I have done some of the same thing? Probably not. But that ain't. But am I gonna mess around and start a journalism 101 class online? Nah, not gonna do all that. But oh, I will tell you another reason I think this beef started too is because Liam Cohen actually, before he was the coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars and before he was the offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Bucks, he coached for the Rams. And the Rams, 49ers, that's a beef. That's a real rivalry right there. So I
Mm,
think that's probably where it all stems from is Rams versus
yeah,
49ers back a while ago. So that's actually, yeah. Mhm. So,
I can
but
see that.
yeah, we have reached the end of the show. Yeah, definitely. We've reached the end of the show. And wow, we have covered a lot of different things from the 49ers to Mike Vrabel to Tennessee to, I mean, just everything we covered on this show. Samaria, we can't let this be a long time before we do this again. If
I
you
know.
can, tell everyone where they can find you on social media and then where they can find the Fumble as well.
Yeah, I have Samaria Terry TV down here. That's where you can find me on all of my social media platforms except for Twitter. But don't go over there because I don't even really post anymore. It's crazy. It's crazy. But Facebook, Instagram, you can find me right here at Samaria
Very
Terry TV, and then and then I'm more on the Fumble. You want to see me every day? I'm on the Fumble Sports. We just got our TikTok kind of going. I like it, but YouTube, Instagram, Threads, and of
mhm,
course TikTok. We're over there. Yeah. But thank you. Thank you so much for having me on. It's always a pleasure.
cool. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Of course, I'm having a little bit of Wi-Fi issues over here, so I apologize for the intermittent Wi-Fi issues. The Wi-Fi actually and the electricity is back here, but the Wi-Fi is still messed up. So I'm actually using mobile hotspot for my phone. So yeah,
Oh
that's what I've been doing.
no.
So
I really hated that for
yeah.
y'all because Nashville got to
So,
get it
but
together. You can't have all these people losing power in this weather. You know what I mean? I hated that for y'all when you told me that the power was out. And then I was like keeping up
mhm,
with, like
yeah.
the local TV stations down there. And I was like, 170,000 people don't have power and it's freezing
Mhm,
cold. Yeah, I'm
mhm,
sorry.
yeah. We we didn't get it back till late last night, and let's see, 200 and some odd thousand people were out of the power, and I was sitting in my car watching and listening to the championship games last night. That's what I was doing with the car warmed up and everything, charging up devices, all that stuff. So, but yeah, you can find me. Of course, for those that are looking for me, you can find me on the artist formerly known as Twitter at MikePadden82. That's MikeEPATTON82. You can find me on Instagram and Threads at that's THA, not THE underscore general underscore MP. And of course, touring the AFC South, you can find on all listening platforms, whether it be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, you name it, we are there. And we're also on the Mike Pat Network on YouTube, where you can go ahead and click the bell so you can catch anything that posts at any time. I'm Samaria. Thank you for coming on the show. Thank you all for watching the show. We're out. Peace.